So, Chris, what do Democrats think below the presidential ticket? Because Chris Koster, until recently, the Democrat had a pretty significant lead over Eric Greitens, the Republican, despite the fact that we decided this is going to pretty much be a Trump state.
Well, you know, Koster can win, Kander can win, that's for sure. I'm just really surprised by the narrative of the outsider, the career politician being a demerit when Koster knows a lot about state government. Teresa Hensley knows a lot about prosecuting cases and running large offices. You've got some really competent people that are being derided as career politicians.
Roy Blunt knows a lot about Washington?
He does. He's a career politician, and that's one of the pluses for me in terms of Blunt's and Kander coming up against Blunt. But if you want an accountant, you want a career accountant. If you want a plumber, you want a career plumber. If you want a journalist, you want a career journalist. So career politicians shouldn't be a slam, but they're getting away with doing that in the advertising.
I think it's a slam. I think, you know, the mood in the country right now is that we don't want more career politicians, and the reason for that is because we have not gotten the results that we were promised over and over and over again. And for Republicans in the midterm last time, a lot of huge promises were made. Just give us Congress, just give us the Senate. So the grassroots and a lot of people who do donations, small and large, they delivered, and what they received was nothing. Lots of gridlock, lots of promises broken, and lots of missed and unreturned phone calls and emails, and legislators who spent a lot of time in Washington but weren't available when they were here in the state of Missouri. And that's why the career politician label is a negative. It's something that if you're labeled with it and you can't adequately explain how you've been a good career politician, it's a negative for you.
The problem with that, and I understand why it plays, and there's no doubt it plays with a lot of voters. I live out in West County, and I think that outsider thing plays with a lot of voters in West County. However, when the primary candidate for governor, in this case Eric Greitens, who's campaigning as the outsider, the two primary candidates in the state campaigning as an outsider are Democrat Jason Kander for the U.S. Senate and Republican Eric Greitens for governor. When Greitens is campaigning as an outsider and yet is surrounding himself with most of the same insiders that have been electing and advising the career politicians, it comes off as shallow. When he campaigns as the guy who's going to clean up ethics and then takes possibly the most unethical $2 million donation in the state's history, it comes off as shallow. And I think that's where ultimately it'll be interesting to see what the voters say. The voters may, in fact, completely support what Stacey's saying in terms of if the voters select the outsiders, then that model is going to be with us here for a while. But I think it's pretty shallow. It's not a deep enough reason to vote for somebody just because they're saying, I don't have any experience, so send me because I got to be better than the next guy.
Well, I want to clarify that because I also live in West County, west of 270, and I think the label that we're talking about is one part of what people are looking for. So I don't know anyone who's voting for people just because they're outsiders, but it's a part of a package. So I can't speak to Greitens, but for other politicians who are running and saying, I'm not a politician, they're offering some other skill set that would qualify them. On the Republican presidential side, it's a businessman, and going down the ticket, you know, I think Jason Hawley is saying, look, I'm
Josh Hawley, the Attorney
Josh
General
Hawley,
candidate,
yes,
right.
Josh Hawley. I'm a teacher, you know, I'm a professor.
Well, he's saying he's focusing on his
of
work.
Of course, but
it's
that he's saying he's an outsider, and that's a part of it. So it's not the only reason someone would vote for a candidate.
Consider something Teresa Hawley told me that she got from Koster, current Attorney General, is the Attorney General of Missouri has all these cases because all these Republicans ran for county prosecutors as outsiders and won, and they don't know how to try their cases. So they're taking their felony cases, their child sex abuse cases, their murder cases, and kicking it to the Attorney General, which is their prerogative. But so you have an Attorney General that's swamped with cases from outsider county prosecutors. You don't want an outsider Attorney General trying to solve their problems.
Yeah, and one of the things that fascinates me is we have an outsider governor across the river in Illinois, Rauner, and he hasn't necessarily done that well. And you can see several outsider governors around the country. Most of them are Republicans, but not all, who had never held another public office before, like Scott in Florida. And now they're running a state, and they're running into problems. And it surprises me that the Democrats strategically don't focus on that much. I mean, Koster is now emphasizing that Greitens may not know anything about state government, and that may or may not play because of the outsider attraction, but he's not like pointing across the river saying, well, look what's going on over in Illinois with their budget deficits and this and that, because their governor, I mean, they have other issues, but I'm looking at it strategically.
People
He's
could
not
easily.
pointing to Illinois because Illinois is the murder capital of the United States. They have more murders there than they do in Honduras on a yearly basis.
Yeah,
and there are other systemic issues in Chicago, especially because Illinois is basically Chicago. We're talking about a failed school system and lots of really horrible problems, and they've been run by the Democrats for 60 years.
Oh, right. No, but
so
I'm just saying
I wouldn't point to it if
tactically-
I was a Democrat.
Tactically, if you're running for governor and you can point across the river and say that governor was a businessman, he's not doing that well. I'm just saying from a tactical standpoint, I'm surprised he's not focusing on that. Instead, he's focusing on whether or not Greitens ran his nonprofit right or took enough money or took too much. And I'm not sure if that plays with voters.